Hey, you guys, it's Alexis, your favorite astrologer and tarot reader. Thank you guys so much for just supporting me and just being here, growing the channel. And yes, and also if you want to get your own personal birth chart reading with me, make sure you go in the link in my description for all the details. Now, I wanted to look at mm, 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 a real fucking diddler. Diddy has been in the news again because his lawyer, one of his lawyers, Anthony Ricco, has filed a motion to withdraw as legal counsel. Right? We don't really know exactly why he has withdrawn and he has chosen to withdraw, right? Because he does have the client confidentiality agreement with Diddy, so he cannot readily disclose legally any discussions that have been compounding with this case. But we can all expect that he just doesn't want to represent him, and like it's fair. It's fair. This nigga is a monster. Like he's a monster. He has been charged with ex trafficking, racketeering charges, and he has been accused of blank napping, coercing women into certain activities that are compromising and just being just a lustful, disgusting demon who is just high on his own supply. He is high on his own power, and he is being challenged with the highest power that is, the court of God, um, and I really just wanted to look into this birth chart and look at the transits to see exactly how the transits were impacting him in this very moment. And let's just discuss what I see and just do a quick little brief little rundown. It's Friday. Want to take things light. Just a little bit personal about me, y'all. I have the North Node is currently in Pisces, so it's in my 11th house with my Mars. When I tell you I have been back to back to back to back to back outside, it is low key draining me. And right in Pisces and Virgo, they are the axis of health, right? Virgo is more of like, taking care of your body, taking care of your gut health, having your juices, having, this regimen to keep your body attuned. And Pisces is all about, right, like your spiritual health, your mental health, how you can connect to your higher power. It's the opposite of like the mind body connection. So with this being in Pisces, I've honestly just been outside way too much. Like I need to like really get in my resting bag. With Mars there, Mars is like with the North Node, Mars is aggression, Mars is, it's forward movement. I've just been feeling like this rush and this urge to just kind of like continue to establish myself with certain groups and organizations and networking has really been a focal point of this year so far. And girl, we've only been in this year for like 2 months. Girl, I'm ready to rest. Like I have a thing today, and then after that, bitch, I'm going to sleep. Okay. Please let me know where you have where the North Node is in Pisces or the South Node. Like, what's going on? What are y'all feeling like? What do you think this energy is gonna bring you? Please let me know. I need y'all to interact with me. Like, I want this to be a really, really fun, loving, lighthearted, dope community where we just all put our knowledge out here and just try to make sense of the world around us, try to make sense of pop culture and these figures through the use of astrology, right? Okay, yeah. So let's look at his birth chart. So he is a Scorpio sun, conjoined to his Mercury. He has his Venus and Jupiter conjoined in Libra. He has his Uranus in Libra, his Pluto in Virgo, his South Node in Virgo, Moon in Virgo. He has his Saturn in Taurus. We got the same Saturn, okay. He has his Chiron in Aries and his North Node in Pisces, and he has a Mars in very late degree Capricorn Mars at that energetic degree, and we're gonna get more into that. Um, but one thing that I've just found very, very interesting is that he's having his nodal return, right? Because the current North Node is in Pisces. So it's kind of like when we have these nodal returns, we have these inverse nodal returns. It's kind of like a spiritual checkpoint to really gauge where we are as it pertains to our soul's journey, our soul's evolution, our soul's mission, right? If you believe in reincarnation, basically the nodal points in our charts are just a calculation of the different points in our chart that can showcase where we have our north node. And the north node is the energy which we are supposed to go towards, what we are supposed to really make sense of, really get a hold of in this lifetime, which is, something that is not innately always the most comfortable thing, right? Because when you're striving for something more, sometimes you feel like you get knocked down a peg, or you just feel a little bit insecure because you haven't done something before. But after you really solidify yourself and you're knowing, and you're on that path and you're on that journey, it becomes seamless. And with this North Node in Pisces, right? Pisces, it rules the 12th house. It rules over mysticism. It rules over spirituality, incarceration. And it's so interesting because he is incarcerated, right? It rules over hospitalization. It rules over solitude. It's the unseen. It's the unknown, right? It's, things that we don't readily see, but we can feel, we can understand. It's about beliefs. It's about faith. It's, believing in something that you can't readily see. It's about your intuition, like tapping into that, the feeling, tapping into our bodies, right? Not our minds necessarily, right? With the Virgo aspect ruled by Mercury, but really tapping into our bodies, like how does this environment make me feel? How does this person make me feel? What am I feeling right now, and how can I flow with this feeling? That's Pisces energy, right? So with this North Node in Pisces, it's all about literally surrendering, right? Because when when you have 12th house placements, it's really about not fighting against not fighting against the current, right? But to flow with the current so that you can make it towards the other side. Not to be engulfed in the sea of your emotions and feeling helpless and like a victim, but to be like, oh, no, I'm my own savior. I can pass myself the life jacket, and I can, get out of this proverbial ocean of my emotions, or of my pain, of my suffering, of my grief, right? And work over that and heal myself over that. But with this opposition, right, of this Pisces and Virgo energy, Virgo in its lowest octave can be a very, very judgmental, perfectionistic, overly detail oriented sign, right? Because it's Mercury, it's Earth. It wants, it's like a fine tuning of details. It wants to plan. It wants to strategize. It rules over the sixth house, right? It rules over routines. And these are the routines that keep us orderly, right? Keep our bodies stabilized, keep our homes stabilized, keep our work environment stabilized, right? But if you do too much and you're working, 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 you're going to eventually burn yourself out, and that you will feel physical ailments in your body, right? Or if you're thinking, thinking, thinking too much with the Pisces energy, you can physically give yourself like mental distortions, believing in these fantastical thoughts rather than having a hold on them, and to learn through them and to grow through them, and really establish a more empathetic nature towards the world and towards yourself. And with this North Node in Pisces, it's all about literally like in a sense like going to God, right? Like surrendering, being stripped of your material wealth, being stripped of your identity, right? As it pertains to how we've seen you, how we've seen him show up in the world as this mogul, being stripped of everything, like really being stripped down to its purest form, right? Who we are when we are alone, that's who we are when we go to God, right? It's full of our secrets, our grief, our doubts. That's who we are. And to make peace with that, and to accept that, and to then have this ending lead to a new beginning. Okay. So it's so interesting with this. It's crazy because I've been seeing a lot of these celebrities that have North Node in Aries, like Jay Z, like Diddy, and I forget who else, but someone else prominent. Oh, ASAP Rocky, of course, and also Rihanna. Yeah. Yeah, but they're in the same pretty much generation, so a lot of them are going to have the same lessons. Um, but now because this energy, this Piscean energy is so prevalent right now, it's really about like stripping ourselves of, you know, stripping ourselves of just like being so attached, being so attached to others, to possessions, to, you know, hoarding wealth, hoarding people, hoarding our own emotions, and just letting them be, right? Letting go, letting it flow. That's what Pisces energy is all about, right? Being more intuitive, being being more of service to others that don't have that voice, right? People who are victims to abuse, speaking on behalf of those people, right? Really using your empathetic nature to be of service to others. And Virgo is very empathetic, but they're more of like, how can I have a solution to get this done? Whereas Pisces is like, how can I be with you in this moment to really empathize with you in a certain situation? So with him, I feel like even with all this shit going on, I feel like this is him like kind of coming into like a different sense of spirituality, a different sense of empathy that he didn't have to have for all these years. Where he's like, wow, like everything is gone, and now what do you have? You just have yourself in a cell. And I don't know if y'all been to jail, but that shit, I mean, obviously he is dead ass wrong. I'm not trying to be like, oh my God. But like if y'all been in jail and you be sitting there, that shit makes you crazy. That makes you think about life, think about, what you've done, what you should have done differently. Makes you think about your past, makes you think about your parents. Like it's a moment where you have nothing but your mind. You have nothing but your thoughts. And you're supposed to sit there and accept it. And it's a hard thing to do when you have just been so, covered in power and greed and hunger and all these things, but now you have none of it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And even with that South Node in Virgo, Virgo likes things in a very, very concise way. They want things to be damn near perfect. That's the shadow side of Virgo, right? This need for perfectionism, because Virgo has the bandwidth to problem solve and to find those solutions. But sometimes it can be to their own detriment where they physically become ill, right? But that South Node is the energy where we are supposed to be, you know, cultivating the lessons that we've learned from that period in that life and what that theme of the life was, to then move towards our North Node, to take what we've learned here and to integrate that into a new era, a new environment for us, for our soul's growth, our soul's evolution. But what's so interesting too is that, you got that South Node in Virgo, and guess who's a Virgo? Cassie. So they have a Sun South Node connection. That's not always the worst thing. It just can denote like being the energy could be very, very familiar. Like you feel very familiar with this person. They feel like you've maybe met in a past life, or you've enacted this certain situation in a past life, and you're reigniting this cycle in this current life. Um, but what's so interesting though, he has his moon conjoined to his south node in Virgo. He could have even came from a family that was, very nitpicky or very judgmental, or you know, gifted him a lot with the wits that he has, business acumen, being very, very, detail oriented. But it could have been came from a very insecure place like Virgo moons. That could have been just even like a mother that was pretty insecure, and they projected that on the child. A mother who was very, very overly judgmental, a mother who expected the most out of their child, so they wanted them to be perfect, right? And our moon is, that's our true essence. It's our emotional processing. It's where we find emotional stability and security, right? But that emotional security comes from a place of control, in which now we have the south node right on his moon conjoined to his natal south node. It's like this need for a release of control, looking at that north node in Pisces. Okay. Mm. Um, so what's also interesting, right? So Mercury is currently in Pisces and it's going to be conjoined to that north node. That could even denote like like speaking, communicating, thinking on his behalf as it pertains to his journey, his mission, right? Like being like literally going, I can think of like the Hierophant, right? Like going to not only just like the court on this physical plane and being read his rights, but like you have to face the crimes that you've committed in the spiritual realm, right? The judge and executionary of your soul. And I mean, Saturn is here. There could be some restrictions. Um, I mean, even with him going to jail and all of these, you know, you know, Saturn is karma, right? It's like paying up your karmic debt in the ways in which you were lacking boundaries. You were being fantastical. You were and Pisces also has to deal with the 12th house. The 12th house can deal with escapism, right? So what do we do what do we use to escape? That can be food, that can be people, that can be substances, okay? So, facing the karmic uh, duties that you've done from a place where you were trying to escape, but now you have to be fully present for the acts that you've committed against humanity. And it's his north node is not exact. It's not really close to his natal north node, but when that bitch jump, it's gonna be a sight to see. It's going to be a sight to see. It's really going to be a sight to see. And even the fact that he has Chiron and Aries, and Venus is there, right? Venus is pretty close to that Chiron. Venus is our relationships, is our values. And in Aries, it's kind of like the relationships that reflect the self, right? How can we better manage being in relation to others, but also not neglecting ourself, right? Being passionate, being loving, being understanding, but also putting self first. Self preservation is key. But that Venus on that Chiron, it could like really scratch, feeling like, I mean, there he could have even had like a little bit of support as it pertains to his Chiron. Chiron represents the wounded healer asteroid in our charts. It is associated with Sagittarius. It is the centaur of wisdom and um, right? It's the centaur Chiron who was wounded by Hercules, and he had this wound that was uncurable. So instead of just being in this state of just complete pain and sorrow, he forfeited his life so that another could be free, right? Because our gifts are not for us, it's for the betterment of others. As we become more self aware and more self accepting and more self loving, then we can share our wisdom with others, right? Um, he's having his Chiron return too. He already had it pretty much at that exact degree. So, the energy may not be as potent, but that Venus there, it could be a little bit of support, some support in his vulnerability of his masculinity, right? Because Aries is a very masculine sign. It's the first zodiac. It's the baby. And Chiron, there could be a wound of like masculinity, wound of aggression, feeling like, oh, I have to overcompensate for my lack of uh, masculinity. Honestly, and that's the way that he copes. Is through his use of power and control. Um, Let me see. I mean, the North Node is opposite that Pluto, like really paying up for the acts that you've done to assert your own power. to control, right? Control through your words, control through, your music, through contracts. It's written communication, it's spoken communication, um, and then it's opposite. So it's a push and pull kind of energy in these alignments. And, let me see. And then, with the Venus and Aries opposite his Uranus in Libra, this could even look like some just shaking up in his own personal relationships. And literally, like Libra deals with the legal system, right? Saturn is exalted in Libra. It's the negotiator, negotiating, but it's true through these one on one connections. It's responsibility through these one on one connections. It's legal, it's being right, it's being honorable, it's being um it's just it's wanting to have that balance, right? The justice system is all about creating equality, creating balance. um but with Venus here opposite that Uranus, there could even just be like some, you know unbalancement with his interpersonal relationships. There could be just like some sudden changes that come with those relationships, especially as it pertains to this legal case, right? In Libra, right? Um, he has that Jupiter conjoined to his Venus in Libra. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Jupiter is our philosophy, it's our belief system, it's lessons that we've learned, it's abundance, it can be money. Venus is also benefic, it's ruling money, relationships, it's values. And in Libra, right, like it's ruled, like Libra rules over Venus. He has a Venus in Libra. Like he can be, I could definitely see him as somebody that was very, very he could be very, very charitable, like very, very giving of his resources, very giving of his love, but also, with that Jupiter on that Venus, like even like this insatiable thirst for more love, for more women, right? Libra is a very it's a feminine energy, more of the feminine, wanting to be like it's just more, 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 expounding, and almost in a way where it becomes gluttonous, right? Um, what else does he have? Mars is in Cancer retrograde. Got the girls being a little irritated, a little itchy. What else? What else? Oh, of course, he has he has that Capricorn Mars at the 29th degree. Blood climate, blood. Okay, so the 29th degree is the anaretic degree in astrology, which really boils down to being a very critical degree. This could deal with crisis, transformation, and it's in Mars, right? Mars, it can even, Mars is our desires, is our passion, it's anger. So with this being such a critical degree on the Mars, this could even be like extreme anger, extreme control, extreme sex, extreme transformation crises through these motivations, through these sex. It's in Capricorn, so like extremes to establish some sort of foundation, to establish some sort of authority. And we just came out of the Pluto generation. I mean, Pluto and Capricorn generation, right? So we saw a lot of these moguls kind of just build these incredible empires, and we're looking up at them in just awe. When really, if we look down, we can see that the foundation is shaky. The foundation has bodies underneath it. The foundation has children underneath it, and everything that we've been like ascribing to and aspiring to, right? Pluto and Capricorn was all about the boom of capitalism. It's about, hustle culture. We'll eat till you sleep, you'll sleep when you die. Just that toxic work culture, doing whatever you can to get the top. Like even if you're in corporate, the girls are sharks. They are sharks, and they will eat you to get ahead. And that was a generation we were raised in. We were taught that this is what, like, you want this, you want to be in this environment, this is what makes you who you are, this is what defines you as a successful person, right? But when those skeletons start popping out, right? Pluto is there. Pluto is highlighting and it's uncovering all of, these insatiable desires, these passions, these angers. And Pluto is like Pluto is kind of like the last trick with the magician, right? They do all these things. You're just like, oh my God, how is this happening? And but Pluto is like, no, I'm gonna show you how this really goes down. Pluto is not afraid to show you the darker aspects, the depths, right? The unhidden, the unseen, the buried secrets, the buried bodies, the buried memories, the buried people. Did I say people twice? And it can get really dark. I mean, he even has Mars square Saturn. This could be someone where like they just had a really difficult time when it came to like establishing their own sense of power. So establishing their power over others could even give them this authority. There's restrictions when it comes to his sex. And it's in earth signs, right? So this theme of like security, of money, of like a solid foundation, even like potentially doing things for money, right? Or making other people do things for money. Saturn is restriction. Saturn and Taurus, like, uh, you know, there was some restriction in his values, right? Compromising your own values to build this luxury life built off of lies, built off of greed, built off of, you know, coercing people, built off of lust and ugh, ugh, ugh. This nigga is a creepo. Let's see what else was. Um, and you know what's so interesting? I've been seeing a pattern a lot of people who are in the entertainment industry who have their Mercury conjoined to their Sun. Um, right? And it can just be very, very much enmeshed in their own identity, right? Their thinking, their speaking, how they communicate, how they think, the way that they write, the way that they compose, like that's heavily enmeshed in who they are, who they present to be, and right. And he's like this music producer. He's this mogul who discovered these famous acts. Like he has his own music, he has his own catalogs, but it's in Scorpio, right? Sun and Mercury ruled by Pluto, and Pluto in Libra, or Pluto in Virgo, sorry. So this theme of like money, power, control, sex, more women, more, like it's just, like he is a very, very powerful person. Scorpio placements are very powerful, but it's like when you abuse your power, you have to pay up for it, you know? And we're in a society where we are under capitalism, we are under white supremacy, and we've seen so many influential figures, kind of get swept under the rug because they are white. But with him, he's a black man, right? And the powers that be, they don't want you to get too. They're like, wait, hold on, you're not running the show around here. You're doing our bidding. So now he has to pay. He has to pay for his crimes. He has to come to God. And yeah, I don't know, y'all. I need to look at something. I need to look at the dates moving forward to see how this case is gonna look because they're about to go to trial. But yeah, child. Um, yeah, child. It's ghetto. It's ghetto. It's nasty. Ugh, I need to cleanse myself after. Oh my God, he's sick. But yeah, you guys, on a lighter note, yes. It's Friday. I'm about to go do a little thing and I'm gonna go to bed and chill. The thing about it is like with it being in Mars, it's kind of just like this energy of just like this energizer bunny energy where I'm like, okay, I'm resting, but now I'm like, okay, let me do this while I'm resting. Like you're not really like slowing down. So I really plan on doing that this weekend because I'm like, oh my God, wait, I'm going crazy a little bit. But it's been pretty cool. I've been meeting a lot of new people, just trying to promote my business more in person and, and really like, really network. really have like a solid group that we can just transfer ideas, transfer passions. I was in a music video, y'all. I was a video vixen. I can't wait for that to drop. Things have been fun. Things have been fun. Oh, and happy Black History Month, girl. We almost done with this hoe. Like this hoe's so short. What would he say? We need a longer month. How about Black History Year? Um, but yeah, you guys, that's it for me. Tell me what y'all think about this case. Tell me what you think about the nigga. Like, what do you think that that lawyer was like? Oh no, because lawyers are not always like the most morally adept people, right? Like they will literally defend a serial killer and be like, no, he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, this is what I see, you guys. I really appreciate the support. Keep fucking with your girl. I love you guys so, so much. And yes, have a great rest of your day. Bye.